official syllabus day stuff. So we're in the defensive network security class. I've had, it seems like most of you in class at some point or another. I think this might be the last group of people that I've had in CSC438 even. So I haven't taught that for a while, so that tells me that you're all growing up now. If you haven't ever had me in class, I kind of am, have been a sysadmin kind of person, so beating on firewalls and trying to lock things down is sort of a lot of what it is that I do with my time. So I've worked a few different places and broken a lot of different things and gotten in trouble for stuff. So my key one is like making a wrong firewall rule and taking out a production system, and we had an SLA that cost us like $10,000 every 30 minutes of downtime or something. So I managed to cost my company like about $15,000 that day. So yeah, there's lots of magic to firewalls and lots of lessons to be learned. And I won't say I've been everywhere and done everything, but have done many things when it comes to firewall and a lot of weird stuff. So for what we are going to do in this class, we are obviously going to be doing a lot of firewall things. So we'll be playing with NAT, which seems to be everyone's favorite thing. What we'll actually be doing first, though, is just basic firewalling, and we will have hands-on labs for doing all of that. So the basic firewalling stuff will be great. Then we will start to do a lot of NAT, which NAT is stupid and dumb and terrible, but it's used everywhere. So like DSU is one of the rare examples of where NAT is not used, because if you notice, you all have public IP addresses on your stuff. If you haven't noticed, that's why your IP addresses all start with 138.247 here, because DSU has like 65,000 IP addresses. We have a whole Class B space, so it's kind of a smoke 'em if you got 'em situation, and we definitely do. So yeah, we'll do NAT. So NAT is really just our really terrible mechanism of we're running out of IP4 addresses. Oh no, what are we going to do? So we'll do that. And before we actually step into that, what we're actually going to start with is subnetting review. I'm sure everyone loves subnetting, right? We're not going to like do the I want you to do this worksheet of stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to hand you a set of VMs and tell you you have to figure out the correct IP address to assign or to configure on your firewall. Otherwise, your VM won't be able to talk. So that comes into play when we start doing firewalls, because much like we use a router, why would we use a router on a local network aside from just getting to the internet? Or why does DSU use a router instead of just having one big switch for everything? Multiple networks. We want to segment things off. Why do we want to segment stuff? From not even a security perspective. So we can troubleshoot stuff. That's one. So, and we can minimize the scale of stuff. So if you do something silly that takes out the entire network you're on, well, look, hopefully you're only going to impact the wired network of East Hall or something like that, not the entire campus. So that's one reason why we segment stuff. The other one is, if you've taken routing and switching, which I assume a good chunk of you have, what's a broadcast domain do? Other than bring lots of lovely things to us. What's a broadcast packet do? It's a packet that is to be sent to every client on the network. So did you know you can, and it works with mixed results. Let's say your subnet or your broadcast address was well, I'll just do something silly like 138.247.255.255. That's not going to work, but let's pretend it did. That would send out a packet that is destined for every host on the entire DSU network. So, and this isn't going to request timeout, yeah. Because it's hey, you didn't subnet that right, you're being dumb. and it's right. So when we have broadcast domains, that's just typically junk traffic, or Windows computers are out there looking for love, or anything like that. So we have all that junk traffic going on, so we segment stuff. So that's like a network performance reason for it. The student wireless network is so big at DSU that I actually don't remember the number, but there's a very large amount of the traffic is just broadcast traffic because there's so many people connected at a given time. So fun stuff like that. That's why we're doing all this segmentation. And in order to segment it correctly, you need to subnet it correctly. So now that we're in a, what I'd say like senior level class, because it's 400, you have to use your knowledge from other things, other classes. So you have to make sure you have IP addresses set correctly on your stuff before you can worry about your firewall. Because if you go to work someday and you're like, well, the firewall doesn't work, and you really just didn't set a default gateway on your computer, you're going to look really silly. So lots of things are going to kind of come to play. So we'll do subnetting, port forwarding, which is really just NAT. That's all going to come into play. Then there's this whole big group of stuff that we lump under layer 7 firewalls, or what are some other stupid buzzwords? You can actually just call it intrusion prevention systems, or next generation firewall, or depending on what sales person has pitched you lately, but they're all falling under the same category of firewalls that are looking at more than just, well, here's networking review question. What are firewalls generally looking at in a packet? Source and destination IP addresses and source and destination ports. So firewalls are typically not going much above layer 4 of our OSI model. They don't live any higher than that. A layer 7 firewall is going to look and see, hey, that's not HTTP traffic going over port 80. So should we ever see not HTTP traffic over port 80? Probably not. Maybe some video, depending on what's going on. So that's what our layer 7 firewalls are doing for us, is identifying traffic that should be there. So then we'll do intrusion detection stuff. So we will look at what firewalls do when we see things that seem suspicious coming in. We can create packet traces, and then we'll actually do a little Wireshark love. So going through some packets and seeing what's really going on, and see if we can deconstruct stuff. I won't say when you're done with this class you'll be like a NOC agent reviewing escalated security events, because that takes just lots and lots of experience to do before you see and kind of recognize patterns of things. But we will kind of get the ground running so you can see what's really going on with that. Then the last big thing that we do in this class is go through encryption. So you've probably dabbled with encryption in other classes, at least I hope you have. But our official knowledge unit of encryption stuff lands here. So we go through that too. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. The idea when we're all done is that you have some exposure to everything. So I don't too much, like, it's not that often that I'm going to be going through a PowerPoint of like, well, this is what the firewall is doing. Instead, I'm more of a like, be in the firewall interface, and then when we have these options and buttons and things to click on, we'll talk about what all of those actually are and what they do. That's kind of more my style. That's how I learn. I think that's how people typically learn better, as opposed to you going to work someday and they tell you to do something on the firewall and you're like, well, I need to get the PowerPoint first. That's not going to go so well for you. Maybe it does. I don't know. But I don't figure it will. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to dabble with a couple different firewall platforms. So we will do pfSense. Who's heard of pfSense before? Yeah, what's cool about pfSense? It's free. Yeah, that's a big thing. It's free and it runs in a virtual machine very, very well. So we will do pfSense, Depending on where you go to work, you may or may not see pfSense. Some places do. Most businesses are scared of using things like that as their firewall, so you'll see some other vendors. So we will dabble with some other vendors. We'll for sure do Juniper firewalling, and assuming all goes well, we're in deep negotiations at the moment. We'll do Palo Alto firewalls. So that's Palo Alto is a vendor that's actually gaining a ton of market share, at least around South Dakota that I know of. So lots and lots of places are switching to Palo. So we're just going through the talks right now of like, no, I'm not going to buy 90 licenses for your firewall to use in a class. That's silly. So aggressive negotiations. So anywho, the idea is like, in the end, all three of these firewall platforms, they're just firewalls, right? If you're creative enough with doing regular expressions and whatnot, you can make pfSense do everything that the super expensive Palo Alto firewall is doing with its fancy subscriptions and stuff like that. But in the end, it's a firewall. They're all doing the same stuff, but they all do it differently. So that's kind of the idea is once we've sat down and played with a couple different vendors, even if we haven't walked through, and we're going to go through all of them anyway, but even if you haven't been exposed to like this particular brand of firewall, you should be able to sit down and be like, oh, I get it. These pieces kind of start to make sense. So that's what we're going for. The other one is just FYI, when you guys fill out the SOS surveys, like when changes happen in the class, because I more or less redo everything each year, I'll steal some basic stuff and then change it. So that's based on the student opinion surveys. I could actually care less about the little radial buttons that everyone fills out, because that's a good time, right? Of the survey of strongly agree, strongly disagree. Like, I just get a sheet of numbers, and I promise you I spend lots of time studying those numbers in great detail. But when you go through and comment on stuff, that's more so what I'm going for. So, like, feedback on stuff is a big deal, and that's kind of how the class is based off of, is the direction we're going. Now, if you're like, I hate firewalls, I can't do much for you there. But either way, that's what we're going to be doing. My one comment is it's just based off of the SOS survey, so I get like a printout of the comments and stuff like that. And one year I had a student just absolutely like, there's way too much networking in this class. Like, it's a firewall class. Networking is in the title. So FYI, this is a networking-focused class. But we're not so worried at this point about like talking or learning so much terminology or whatnot. Hopefully that has been done in Networking 1 and 2. But FYI, this is a networking class, so don't let that one hit you by surprise when you registered for defensive network security, because that's going to be a thing. As far as homework goes, I don't do step-by-step labs, because my other thought on that is your boss is not going to go and make step-by-step, click here, enter this value, click OK. Your boss is going to be like, go let Tina access Facebook, or go let John get to ESPN, or whatever it is. And that's all you're going to get, right? You're not going to get step-by-step instructions on how to do things. So this is kind of your area, your playground to go through and do all of that sort of stuff. So with that being said, if it was easy, kind of like how many of you do I have in 466? Like half of you at least, right? Yeah, so like what I said in that other class, if all of this was easy and didn't require troubleshooting and knowledge and understanding, you wouldn't be getting jobs when you graduate. So luckily this stuff breaks all the time and has weird quirky things and gets complicated. So that's why you're getting a degree and you're going to graduate and you're getting a good paying job. So when in doubt, I would say reboot stuff. The virtual machines you have don't suspend themselves anymore like they did back in the day. But if you suspend them, FYI, when you take a network appliance and suspend it out of existence and then just bring it back to life instantly, it's going to be upset, because network appliances don't do that. You don't go to your firewall like at the edge of DSU's internet connection and be like, well, just time out for a little bit. That's not a thing. So there's a couple quirks every once in a while. So worst case, try rebooting something. Like that tends to fix a lot of problems. So we'll have lots of things you need to do from other classes. There will actually be real world sort of scenarios. Only instead of having like, well, we need to let this contractor from this company in, I'm going to do something like, we need to let the goat corp into the dog corp or something like that. But that's kind of the extent of my examples. But what we're actually going to be doing is basically what you would be seeing sort of real world. I do have many cat pictures in there, so that was actually a gauntlet dropped by someone long ago that I couldn't have a cat-themed class entirely. And since this is a networking security class, it seemed appropriate to have cats in here. And it's actually surprising if you search the internet, you can actually find cats that match just about everything we're talking about with firewalls. So another example, if you go Google HTTP status dogs. So yeah, HTTP status dogs. So like all the HTTP error codes, like he's ready to keep going. So that's a 100 to continue. So similar, there's status cats too, but it's not very good. They're just pictures of cats. They don't actually match. So anywho, that's what we got going on for that. I have many email pet peeves. So feel free to email me, do all that good stuff. If I email or if I reply to you at some bizarre-ass time, just be delighted that I'm awake doing stuff. I kind of have a pet peeve against, like, the diarrhea of the keyboard messages. So, like, give me a rough amount of proofreading before you send it so that I'm not like, well, what in the world is that supposed to say or something like that. But I generally reply from, like, as soon as I can, unless it's something that I need to, like, sit down and look at, because I can't do that from my phone. So if you have that kind of a question going on, it might take me a little longer to reply. But if you're like, hey, should I do scenario A or B? I'll probably reply back to you with another question. But FYI as to that, I'm not a big just give you the answer kind of person. I'm more into, like, pointing you in a direction to figure it out, which tends to frustrate you, I understand. So please also don't send me those kind of, like, rage hate messages, because when you do, like, this lab is stupid and you're a terrible person and blah, 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 and you send me the message like you're just trying to get in a fight with me or something over email, which is cool, I guess. I'll usually just reply and say thanks for the feedback. And that's all I'll ever do. So if you get that back from me, that's my subtle way of being like, sleep on it, try again tomorrow. That sort of a thing going on. So, generally speaking, yeah, I'm going to reply to emails quickly and help you out and keep everything fair. So folks aren't going to have different requirements for the class and all that good stuff. You all have the same standard. But I want you to actually, like, ask questions and not just be bodies in a room. That makes it really, for a long 75 minutes of standing up here when I just have not faces staring at me, but faces staring at a computer screen. So that helps out a lot. And when I email you, so it's a two-way street of if you get mad at me if I don't reply within 3 hours, and then I send you a message about something and you don't reply at all, that's a two-way street, right? So that usually doesn't pertain to class things. That's usually more like, why aren't you registered? So rant from your advisors is when they send you a message being like, hey, let's meet and register. Like, do it. Because we get in trouble when you don't register as well. So seems like a very upside down model, isn't it? Does anyone have questions on what we'll be doing for class? Nothing. There's a syllabus posted in D2L. I guess we'll go through it just to make sure everyone has the the basics of how things are going to work, but I'm just going to tell you that you are welcome to read most of it on your own because you're all big kids. Oh, FYI, we have a book required for this class. You can go on Amazon and probably get it for like $20, or if you go to library.dsu.edu/Safari, you know Safari Books Online. They're a big book publisher. They're not like a textbook publisher. Oh my gosh, I hate it when it does this. So if you cache the page, it does that too. So Safari Books Online they're not like a textbook as in there's questions at the end of each chapter that you have to answer. They're more so like, so you need to learn Python and you're at work and you don't need questions at the end of the chapter kind of a thing. So if you go to the library website and find Safari Textbooks Online and hit go, I'm going to be mad if this keeps dying on me. There, now. Oh, no, it's right here. Never mind. I thought I needed to sign in. You just need to click Start using Safari. I just need to look at what's on my screen. So if you click that, oh my gosh. Now we're going to start going down this road. I promise, if you somehow get into this website, you can get our textbook in PDF format for free. The EPUB version? Well, you're just stuck with the EPUB then. Session unavailable. Why? Why do you hate me so much? What's that? I could have swore we could access all of these via...
You can do it as a browser.
You just can't specifically download it?
No. You can go to each page and print it. I'm going to put that in the PDF.
Okay. Well, either way, you can get the book for free if you can get into the website, and I'm apparently just not following the directions or being dumb. Or have some stupid cookie set on my browser. Because I still, I'm going to be so mad if it's session unavailable. Do you all get that too?
No, I got it.
You guys got in? What browser are you using? Firefox, Chrome, both. Let's roll the dice and try some of this. Because I know I've not been to this website with this browser. Oh my gosh. Thanks. Oh, don't miss out on the browser built for Windows. Yes, please. Thank you for interrupting what I was typing. There are no sessions available because so maybe there's just too many people on it right now or something. Well, anywho, I promise that in some way you can get our book for free from said website. So FYI about that. Or you can go buy it for like $20 on Amazon or something like that. It's not an expensive book. Or I think if you physically go to the bookstore, they have it for retail price. But speaking of bookstore, has anyone actually seen the cool new bookstore website? Because I'll just quickly demo this, because I know people generally just hate bookstore, like, oh, they're evil and they're out to get you, and really they're just selling stuff at retail price. Like our bookstore doesn't actually, what would you say? They don't own the books they sell. They are selling it on behalf of another company, so don't go in there and hate Heather because of the price of your books. It's someone else setting them. But Heather, realizing people were hating her for that, Heather's the one running the bookstore, by the way, switched our bookstore platform. So if you go to view the course materials for this class, instead of being like, okay, go buy it at the bookstore, and that's the only option you get from our website, if we give it a second, it'll still give you the option to buy it from the DSU bookstore. Or, there we go, you can get it from Amazon used for $29.78. So It actually has Orvalor, so it actually goes out and indexes bookstores for you now, and will redirect you to the best price for you, unless you want to buy it directly from the bookstore at retail price still. So, FYI, that's a thing. It will go out and find things, and then I can actually log in and change these things. So I logged in and said, hey, it's available for free here, and then you click on it, and then you get session unavailable. I'm guessing, or something. But anyway, so FYI about that, if you didn't know. Requirements for the class: you need to have high-speed internet, because otherwise your IA lab experience will be poor. So if, like me, I go back to my parents every once in a while, and they'll be like, well, I've got some time, I'm going to work on this. And they've got like the whopping megabit connection because they live out of town. No. Like that's not going to go. If your broadband provider has told you that you have a high-speed internet connection, they're lying to you, and it's terrible. So FYI about that. You need to have decent internet. I don't accept late work, and don't cheat on the class. I think that's what those whole blocks were doing. If you have a disability, need extra time, all that good stuff, please go through and email the Success Center and let me know and all that good stuff, and we'll get that taken care of. Oh, here's my, don't cheat on stuff. If you blow up your computer and can't access the iLab, or if I tell you, hey, the lab's going to be offline on Saturday, and you're like, Saturday's my only day that I can do homework. Well, that's a bummer because I told you that that's not going to work. Stuff like that. Don't use D2L's evil messaging system. The world created email long ago. D2L tried to reinvent it, and it's terrible. So don't do that. There's goals for the class. We'll have some labs and quizzes and stuff like that. And a final. And then this is a random schedule of stuff. One thing on our official schedule, something that comes up in the spring semester, is DakotaCon that I run. So our class schedule will be a bit rough that week. As in, we may not have class that whole week because I'll be tearing apart the playhouse or just drunk in a bar or something. Who knows? Just out of pure sadness. No, not that, but anyway, during DakotaCon week, we might have a little different schedule of some sort. Otherwise, I guess I'm going to be in California in a couple weeks, so we'll miss a class too. So, generally, when we're going to be gone, I'll have either a video or we'll have assignments, or don't worry, I won't leave you with nothing to do, kind of thing. Yeah, I know that's a big concern for most of you. So, does anyone have any questions on anything? Yeah.
Question 6 of the quiz says, last day to drop and receive on refund.
Do I have the 28th and not 18th? Okay. I consistently have been making that mistake across the board. So that one is just a typo. So when you go to take the quiz, and I'm just going to fix it right now. If you're in the quiz right now, pick 28th. I didn't want to. Yeah, see, 28th is the correct answer marked in here. But I need to edit questions. And edit. There we go. Now what'll be really awesome for this class is all the mistakes I make in front of you guys. And when we go to the 230 section, it'll be flawless because we'll fix all these things. So the 230 section is going to be like, this guy knows what he's doing. Whereas you guys are going to be like, this guy can't get a single thing to work. So there we go. Any other questions?
There will be video recordings of the class.
Yes. Yep. I will, since we have two sections of it, I will record one or the other. Actually, I should record the afternoon section. That way everything looks flawless, right? For all of our online students. But no, I'm recording this first one this morning. Yeah. So on that, There is a syllabus quiz so that you all have academic participation within the first week. And that's due a week from today because that's when my little report is due on people that aren't coming to class. So otherwise, that's all we've got for today. So on Thursday, we will start dabbling with a little bit of subnetting review fun.